Oh, yay. I can't wait to see Menzies' perspective of that Toronto rally. Jesus.
Yeah, it's not great. Mocha. So here's the thing: is like Mocha doesn't do a lot of talking, but we'll watch to see what goes down.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chief
And I must say, I fucking love this hair. Look at that shit.
Holy shit.
That hair is so good.
Keep it up, Mocha.
Videographer at Rebel News. My name is Mocha Bezirgan. I was in Montreal this last weekend where crazy things happened. There were two major protests. One was a pro-Palestine protest, and the other one was...
I also love like the wide angle shot they have to do for the pro-Palestine rally, and then the like tight shot for the pro-Israel rally. That dude just rolled out of bed. Oh yeah, he rolled out of bed, and I don't
The
mind.
same picture.
You know, I love it when Rebel confirms how little effort they put into their production.
pro-Israel protest. The pro-Palestinian protest took place on Saturday, same square where the very next day a pro-Israeli protest took place. And this time, pro-Palestinian counter-protesters showed up, and things got a little ugly. The streets were filled with tear gas and pepper spray. I got punched in the face.
I just love
Just
it.
nonchalantly, like, I got punched in the face.
To hear that again. It is. It's just like a casual listing of facts and like
Palestinian counter-protesters showed up, and things got a little ugly. The streets were filled with tear gas and pepper spray. I got punched in the face. Pedestrians who had nothing to do with the protest got affected. A couple people got arrested. Traffic was halted. Take a look at this crazy footage.
So,
Yeah,
He's-
Go ahead, Vienna.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, he's not, like, best at this.
he's
No,
not what it is.
The best.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's way funnier that he puts the fact that he got punched in the face like in the middle instead of like emphasizing it at the end of the beginning. He just throws it in the middle. Well, a bunch of other shit happened, but I got punched in the face.
He did. I mean, he got rocked so hard that the phone flew out of his hand. We will. It's coming up. I guess we'll expand on what occurred when we get there. But I think at this point, I'm gonna increase the speed a bit just to get through it because I don't think he, as we know of Mocha already from this, he doesn't do a lot of talking. He just sort of sets it up, and so most of this is just playing what happened. And I do think it's interesting to highlight it because I don't know. Part of me wonders if Mocha specifically was just wanting to cover the Palestinians being arrested and stuff like this, because, or if this is just indicative of the police specifically targeting the pro-Palestinian protesters. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell if it is like journalistic bias or police bias. You know what I mean? Very hard to tell with this. So I guess there was the first day was the pro-Palestinian rally, as he put it, and this is the next day where there was a pro-Israel rally, but then some Palestinian protesters showed up to counter-protest.
So what just happened?
See, and most of the footage is incoherent because, like, you got like cheering here and like some dude running away, but it's like you even heard Mocha go, "What happened?" And I don't think we learn what happened, which is, not very.
Who sprayed gas? The police?
They pulled it out, and when they were trying to keep them separate, we were trying to not to have them collapse. And then one of them pulled a spray, started spraying everybody's faces. And then the police took him and got him.
See what I mean? Like it's just like because that person was clearly with the Palestinians, and was just like on his face being arrested by the cops.
To have him collapse. And then one of them pulled a spray, started spraying everybody's faces. And then the police took him and got him.
See,
Is this on 2x speed?
I put it on 1.5, yeah,
Oh, okay.
just to speed it up a bit. The other thing I wanted to highlight there. Wait, I lost it. Oh, it's not just... Oh, shit, there's my video too. It's not just Mocha that's covering this right now. The other journalist who's in amongst the pro-Israel individuals here is a journalist, or not journalist, videographer for Rebel that's named Yankee Pollock, who also happens to be Jewish. This is going to be relevant to upcoming, but like they're constantly playing this narrative that the police or other people always go after Yankee and call him Jewish. And part of it is like I've seen pictures of Yankee and like I would never be able to like look at him and like know that he's Jewish or not Jewish. And yet I wonder if part of it is like, and like I can't say for sure. It could just be that people are just racially profiling him in some way and being anti-Semitic. But I also wonder if like they realize they got a bump from doing this coverage, that I wonder if he's like wearing some sort of like Jewish signifier of some kind. Because it's like, it seems weird to me that he's constantly singled out as being Jewish by people. And then they always like highlight it and like use it to make a point to be like, look at how racist these people are for pointing out that Yankee is Jewish. This footage is horrible. The Rebel should have sent to journalists. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, in fairness, I've sped it up a bit. I mean, maybe I'll play it normal, but like when we get to David Menzies, maybe we'll see. We'll see how long we get through this. But you know what I mean? It's like, look, all this police walking. I also have to say, like, I wonder what it is about Montreal specifically, because like Toronto has had some decently sized rallies, and like the police here have yet to like spray tear gas and stuff at people, but the Montreal police are very, let's just say, tear gas friendly.
It's because francophones know how to fucking party. Like.
Let's just press.
It's also like weird after seeing all the BLM protests over last summer. How almost disorganized the Montreal police are. Oh, I'm going to skip over their advertisements. I don't really care. Guess what? They got kicked off platforms and stuff and want your money. Don't give it to them.
What? We can't skip that. We haven't heard that.
I do not. It's.
I'm kidding. Please, God.
Look, do you want to be sold something from that face?
Drugs. I want to be sold drugs from that face.
Oh, only the best.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
This is totally relevant footage of 10 people saying cool slogans.
I mean, it's funny because it doesn't even look like they showed up for the counter protest. They just see someone with an Israeli flag and then are swearing at him. And I want to notice, do you notice? They don't show you at all how anything was instigated. They show, swearing back and forth. Then all of a sudden it cuts to like a squabble happening, and you don't see any of the context about who started why. See, just and then all of a sudden there's this tweet: fight breaks out between Palestine and Israel sides, reporting at the pro-Israel rally and Palestine counter protest. It's like, what does this tell you? What are we learning here? I don't.
That this journalist has low engagement.
Yeah.
Where's the second one? Number 2.
And here's Yankees like signaling to the police that there's other people to go arrest, which is good journalism.
You see? I thought you were... Where's the second one? There were two of them. Where's the second one?
Guys, go home.
So Yankee was just talking to that guy and is now helping him, and like that guy then just went to the police and told the police to go chase these people down. But you still don't learn like what was the confrontation? What happened? You have no information.
Also, like, why is it the camera person who is speaking? Like, where the hell is Mocha in any of this?
Mocha is on close to a bridge. You're gonna see this. They're gonna have multiple angles of Mocha getting punched in the face. Is what?
Okay.
Oh, that's what I'm here for.
That's what we're leading to. And look at like these few Palestinian protesters are far outnumbered by these people all going to. And what are the police doing? Pushing back the Palestinian protesters and arresting them. So Mocha runs up a bridge. He wants to get the overhead shot here. You know, you gotta get the aerial footage of the squabble.
Save on drone money.
Oh, now these people notice Mocha on the bridge all alone.
I mean, next to some Palestinians.
Well, boom!
God. I was looking at the left footage. Can we go back a little bit?
Yeah, you can look
yeah.
at the right footage and watch the phone just fly right out of his hand.
Wow.
And it's at this moment where I realize, so for those of you who don't know, you probably all know this by now, but Rebel News is very pro-Israel. We've had Ezra on the show many times promote the idea that you can't be Jewish and not be pro-Israel. So he's made the claim that people like Bernie Sanders who are not pro-Israel are therefore not Jewish, which is like, I don't know, that seems a little bit anti-Semitic to me to try to tell other people who are Jewish that they're not Jewish based on their adherence to a state. But there it is. And so Ezra, very, very pro-Israel. And so here's Mocha on Ezra's behalf covering this rally. And he's, from what I understand, he's Turkish. He claims to be from Istanbul, but like other people from Turkey could have other ethnicities or whatever. But there's an element here in which I feel like these pro-Israel people racially profiled him and then punched him in the face. Which...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Which...
Yeah.
They saw a vaguely Mediterranean-looking man and went for him.
And it tells you that, like, he does admit, see, pro-Israel protester punches rebel journalist during dueling Montreal rallies. But there's almost a sense in which he gets punched and there's going to be, like, an element of, like, I'm on your side kind of thing. And just watch what these people say to him as well, because we're going to get some subtitles here. And I will say, they haven't covered this on Rebel's show, as far as I know of, beyond Mocha's own sort of like footage of this. But this is pretty yikesy. And I guess they're cheering him getting punched in the face? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's happening here.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And let's be fair, I would be cheering if a rebel person got punched in the face too, but not in this context. This is the one context where I'm like, I mean, I'm happy to a certain extent, but not happy about the people cheering it. You know what I mean? There's like levels of confusion going on here. I'm surprised the rebel would even show the clip. Yeah, I wondered about that too, Tony. There's like an element in which, of course, like... any violence done to them they can use as a kind of grifting opportunity. But when their whole message is to try to promote the Israeli side, it seems like being a martyr, like being the victim of pro-Israeli violence, would cut against that cause. And I don't think, like, I don't know. I don't understand why they put it up on YouTube, but they did. There it is.
Officer here. Yeah. I'm here. I'm recording. He punched me.
What? I can't really see it.
Don't lie, brother. Look.
He was protecting himself. I saw him.
I'm not
He was protecting himself. I saw him. Okay.
rebel. He's not protecting.
I'll tell you something.
They came with a knife. They are there with knives. So now they're accusing the Palestinians of having knives. There's no evidence that that's the case.
They came with a knife. They're there with knives.
Look,
they came
here.
with knives.
You know what the difference with Jews and Arabs? Arabs, they have knives. They're dirty.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. They're really getting into it.
So you're probably gonna get there, but like, why is Ezra running this?
This right here, like, holy shit! Why would they air this? It totally cuts against their narrative. I mean, like, part of me is like, good for you, Mocha, for getting this out there. But it's super weird to me. I don't even know how to like take it. You know, like this is not a good look for this person in this rally punched them is the type of person who wants to generalize about Arabs like that. And
I mean, very minimally surprising, but very surprising that Rebel would be like, "Oh yeah, time to show this." And
no, I'm less surprised about the bigotry. More surprised that they would show this.
They're like, our base agrees with that sentiment. Let's show it.
Let's show them the direct rage in like that comes from the type of shit that we spew out into the world. You know. Usually they have to be subtle about this stuff. So like I blows my mind that they even put this out there.
I have a request for at the end of the video. Can we look at the comments? I feel like they're gonna be rough, but
yeah.
Actually, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll do that. Remind me, please.
That's him right here running. And then he comes up to me and then punches me.
Where is he? That's not him. That's not even him.
Bro, don't lie. He punched me in the face.
I mean, you can tell it's the same jacket too.
They keep changing which one. Whoa.
So now I think we've moved on. We're gonna just show a bunch of like police and tear gas and all that kind of stuff. And again, like, why are the police doing this? I don't know. And what great footage! Let's film the backside of a pole.
Move back.
Rebel News, getting the angles no one else will.
Yeah. I love like those two Palestinian protesters that were up on the statue were high enough away from the tear gas that they're not affected. Although it scattered their friends down below, and now they're like isolated in the thing. I mean, a requisite fuck the police at this point as well, you know.
Oh, of course.
Because here they are, like, these are not just Palestinian protesters. These are, like, just people shopping at these fucking stores downtown, and the police are indiscriminately firing tear gas at them.
see, I think like it goes both ways with a lot of francophone stuff, where it's like, you know, you look at the cops in France and also in Montreal, where it's like the protesters go so much harder, and the cops also go so much harder. Like,
yeah. There's just an element of like, was that... From all I can tell, the only aggression was in like where that bridge thing was. And it was enough for them to just like chase the people through the streets and tear gas them in the middle of the day when there's people shopping. It's just like such a weird thing. In terms of optics, but maybe like, again, like you're talking about the francophone thing, like it could just be that this is normal optics for them, you know what I mean?
yeah, that's kind of it, is like, they talk about how like 98% of cops in Paris are National Front voters.
Jeez.
Like they are far right and like hard right. And like and you know, like there are obviously going to be differences between Quebec and France, but like there are a lot of like cultural similarities in linguistic and also like media and also just like willingness to fuck shit up by
Yes.
protesters in Montreal and protesters in France.
I was gonna say there's something fascinating about this little segment too, because this dude's just chilling in his car doing this like peace sign out the window, pro-Palestine, and this guy off to the side here was at an Israeli flag and started getting aggressive. And I have no clue who this guy is, who just shows up and is just like, I am preventing violence from occurring.
It's him, the apartheid wall.
No, but like,
My man.
I know, like, I actually like, because he's usually the cops have their backs facing the Israeli protesters facing out, and here's this guy's like protecting the Palestinian person. So you know what? Cool. You've done a cool whoever.
The anti-apartheid wall.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a weird little exchange that happened. So here's the next.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's confrontations happening all over the place, but this is our next. The comment I was talking about where they call Yankee Pollock Jewish.
You're not even from the Middle East! Shut your mouth! Shut up! Shut up!
And then they're gonna shoot him.
Rebel news.
And then they're gonna go, look, they killed
Yahoo news. Yahoo news. Why that? For Rebel news.
Yeah, Yahoo News.
Why Yahoo news?
It's not Yahoo News?
No. Rebel news.
So Yahud is Jewish?
It's
Okay.
Arabic for
Yeah.
Jewish, yeah. For Jew as well, I guess.
And so part of me is like, it's quite likely that there's some anti-Semitism going on right now. But then it's like, yeah, I don't know.
So this is what's going on here.
Here we have the Yahoo News.
I mean, because like part of this too comes from the fact of like, as we saw earlier, Yankee Pollock was hanging around the pro-Israel crowd and stuff like this. But I don't, whoever this person is, and I'm sorry for spreading their face, and whatnot, but like, I don't necessarily think that it's a good idea going around calling them Jewish news, or Jewish media. But what you gonna do?
So this guy doesn't like me, obviously. Not sure why. He's calling me Yahud news, which is Jew news in Arabic. Not sure why, but
No, there's no such thing as stealing or taking. It's about living together and
But like, this is an ongoing theme with Yankee Pollock. He keeps getting called Jewish news wherever he goes, and like, again, I don't like maybe. Well, I'm not going to pull up Yankee Pollock because we don't need to like racially profile him. But like, if I just saw Yankee Pollock, I would not make the connection in my head. And yet, it's been on several occasions they have clips of people going, "Are you Jewish news?" Which I don't know what to do with that information. Other than it's quite possible because some of them were police. It's quite possible that they were being anti-Semitic. One of the examples was Yankee was covering a synagogue that was refusing to shut down in a Jewish neighborhood in Montreal, and the police officer asked if he was News Juif, which there was a Jewish news magazine that was covering stuff there. And like, they tried to spin that one as anti-Semitic, and out of all the examples, that one was like the least anti-Semitic. It was just like, it sounded like she was asking a very like passive question if he belonged to the Jewish news media in the area. This seems like it probably is coming from a less noble position, maybe, but yeah.
being peaceful.
Would you like to have a
That's all it is. It's very easy. And trust me,
Yeah,
I was
dogfight.
in Gaza and I was in Israel. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know. Get rid of Hamas, we all eat hummus together. Trust me.
Yeah, it sounds like this guy's anti-Semitic, but also like,
I mean, yeah. The thing is, like, yeah, no, it's just shitty, but like, whatever. For as Yankee goes, that's the one thing that he doesn't deserve. Otherwise, fuck Yankee.
Yeah.
But there is like a propagandistic element of it, of using the one example in a crowd of like thousands. Yeah, like see what I mean? Like the police just going wild on a crowd of just like people shopping. People be shopping.
Montreal police see people of color.
Yeah.
Gotta.
They hide in a. Fuck that bitch is a pretty decent sentiment. I wish it would be more amazing if you just stopped to order some food.
What is this, like, footage supposed to be?
It's like
people yelling in a shop?
And he's
Am I watching?
Clearly with, like, pro-Palestinian individuals here. But they all seem to just be hiding from the tear gas. Now, again, there's, like, no context to any of this footage. It's just, like, footage.
Yeah.
He's shooting his demo reel for the next fucking Cloverfield movie.
Let's super zoom in on people running.
Oh no, yeah, I think it was a shawarma shop. Hence why the pro-Palestinian people were let in.
Yeah, it looked like a shawarma place.
It's just such bad filming.
Yeah. You can tell that part of it is like with their like frantic zooming in, they're trying to capture like moments that they can use in a certain way, like, wherever the action is. But it's even things like this. Like part of it is just like my inability to understand French. It's like I'm kind of curious what they were having a conversation about. Yeah, I don't think I could leave a shawarma restaurant empty-handed. That's what I'm saying. I would have totally ordered something before I got out of there. You know, a nice falafel. Oh, I miss just yelling at police officers at protests. That's fine. I'm envious of that person, even though they had tears spraying in them. Or pepper spray guns. Fuck off, police.
Oh my god.
Like what? Like why? That's such power tripping bullshit. I fucking hate cops. Jeez.
Well, like the same thing where he bangs his shield on everything that he passes.
Yeah. If I make loud bang bangs, it'll scare the people. Yeah, I think this is another person doing this. And again, it looks like most of the people who are arrested on the Palestinian side. Montreal. That's pretty much it. That's the end of.
Would you please consider going?
So, just want to say, just one more still of this beautiful. Look at where that phone. The phone is. Or is it his glasses? Yeah. Did we catch the glasses midair? What? Oh, Mocha. I feel bad for him because I really do think that was a racially motivated punch. I'm almost certain that that's what that was. Especially with what the guy said afterwards. You wanted to look at comments, okay? Brace yourselves. Let's see.
Oh god, I forgot that I had asked about this.
Yeah. Instant regret.
Oh, a bunch of stuff about Trudeau. Thanks, Trudeau and Liberal voters, for bringing this to Canada. Listen, I would have been out in the streets regardless of who was in. Let's be real.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. You were at the Toronto one, weren't you?
Yeah, I was gonna say I was in the streets.
We're gonna maybe we'll see you in the footage.
Yeah, fuck. I was looking. I did not see any rebel people. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll save it for when we're watching my contrast, I guess.
It's all fucking about Trudeau.
Yeah. Somehow this is like the Liberals' problem. Yeah, no, I don't see anything that That's fascinating. If there was anyone saying anything racist about Mocha,
Wait, go up a little bit. There was a thank you.
well, there was a thank you,
somewhere.
Mocha.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mocha.
Mocha, for continuing to
I can
stand
only
up.
imagine it's getting worse. Stay strong.
Yeah, thanks, Mocha. Watch out for the crazies. But like, notice how like they're not like, no one's labeling the people who attacked him as like Israelis, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look at this tweet here. Quotations. Diversity is our strength.
That's an old classic of theirs.
How was that your takeaway from the video we just watched? How, like, oh, yeah.
It's probably just on their clipboard. Just paste it.
That sucks because you're the one few trying to find the truth. Like, it's almost like it just sucks that you were hit, but like, the other side isn't to blame for it, even though they clearly caught the guy saying, like, racist shit about Arab people after he punched him. Yeah, I don't know. It's not as yikesy as one would expect. Here's a yikesy comment. Okay, why is it that those that leave their own country because they are afraid start acting like heroes when they enter a Christian democratic country, in caps? If they want to get on like this, why didn't they stay in their own country? Diversity is not a strength, it is the start of a decline. How much diversity does Christian have in any Muslim country? Are they exactly equal? Question mark. Yikes. 27 likes to that goddamn tweet. None of this should be happening in any Western country. Okay, now we're getting some of the racism. Every single one of these people needs to go home. We are loving people. Deport these horrible, evil people back to hell. I mean, again, Mocha is from Istanbul. Did they say the one few or the one Jew? The one few. Did any of these people watch the video? I know, right? Most of the
Probably
violence that
not
we
because
saw,
of how bad the footage is.
we saw a few Palestinian people antagonize the police. We saw Mocha get racially profiled by the pro-Israeli, and we saw one person who seemed to be siding with the Palestinian cause be racist towards Yankee. Beyond that, like, what did we just saw police tear gassing people in the streets? Looks like Canada has some real policing to do instead of arresting pastors for opening their churches. Like, that's Jesus Christ. All right, let's move on. The next video is really long, but it's David Menzies in Toronto. We'll just jump right into it, and we'll play Spot the Ken.
Yeah.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. Well, folks, I'm just outside Nathan Phillips Square. You know, it's one of the no man's lands for anti-lockdown.
He's not far from where we were.
But if you're a pro-Hamas protester, oh, well, Mayor Tory has the red carpet rolled out for the people here advocating their special brand of anti-Semitism. And it's not just Nathan Phillips Square, folks. It is Bay Street itself. Yeah. Cars have illegally blocked the Bay Street here.
I want to say they've covered the anti-mask protests, which have blocked streets, and you never hear them talk about how that's illegal. You only hear it being illegal when they're referring to indigenous protests, Black Lives Matter protests, or pro-Palestinian protests. Otherwise, if you block a street and you're doing it in the name of lockdowns and anti-masks, JDL showed up. So yes, we'll get to this in a second, and watch how David handles the JDL shit, and then we'll talk about the JDL.
We've seen cars going down the wrong way of a one-way street.
Oh no!
We see cars revving their engines unnecessarily. You know, if the police came here, I would imagine.
There's also an irony of them bickering about traffic laws and like how that's like an affront to society when they were like steadfast against any like health mandates regarding COVID. So it's like they don't perceive traffic laws as tyranny, but like somehow mandating something for public health, now it's tyranny.
imagine they could fill their quota for 1 month in 1 hour, but you know what? Not a cop to be seen here on Bay Street. And that's kind of funny, isn't it? Do you remember last summer how, folks, we came down here to cover a protest, an illegal protest, by the way, because it broke 11 sections of the Trespass Act, and that was by the rank and file of a group called Afro-Indigenous Rising. They were breaking 11 sections of the Trespass Act, including starting fires, camping overnight, urinating, defecating in the public square, and nothing was done for that.
Notice as well that he blurs out the face of his own like security crew. That's kind of yikesy, David. Oh, that's Ezra too. I think that's Ezra.
Urinating, defecating in the public square, and nothing was done about that for 3 whole weeks. But when we went down to cover this disgrace, we were threatened with being charged with trespassing. Here, check it out. Yesterday, I went to Nathan Phillips Square. It has been commandeered
I hate to break it to you, Tony.
By a group that's primarily composed
I thought this was the event where David got bit by a dog.
And evidently, we're not allowed to be on the square. It is like the Antifa autonomous city in Seattle, but it's even amped up a little more because it's right where the seat of government is here in the municipality of Toronto.
Like, so it was this little tent community set up in front of Nathan Phillips Square, and they had a conniption about this for like a month, about how terrible it was, and purposely went and antagonized them constantly. When it's like, they were doing a protest, and I think the government, whenever there's a protest like this, the government is put in a position of like, should we arrest this and sort of like bring more light to it or not? And there's this ongoing tension that occurs there. And so, yeah, maybe the police realize that like it's not worth the harm of trying to get rid of these people. Just let them stay there and do their thing or whatever. But like, and then of course they see Rebel News as the antagonists, which rightfully they are, because they'll go and start harassing people. And guess what? Like, yeah, sure. Whatever you want to say about our laws, this tent encampment here might be against the laws, but so is your harassment, David. That's how it works. And like, that's the other thing, is like, they never consider discretion. Like, this is like how a lot of systemic biases come into policing, because they have discretion. But like, there's a reason why they don't just move on every count, right? They have discretion. It could be, like we talked about Chris Sky earlier being arrested, right? Chris Sky almost ran over a police officer. They let him go away, and then they let him turn himself in the next day. Did they need to, like they do for other people, tase him, take him down, like handcuff him, and brutalize him? No, you don't need to. So I just wish they used that kind of discretion for most people, you know? It only seems to be for a select few.
Toronto City Hall, we were told that by police that if we didn't exit the square, we would be arrested and charged with trespass, and yet they're turning a blind eye to these squatters. Not only that, folks, the city is aiding and enabling them by putting up porta potties for their comfort. So isn't that amazing? And again, to bring it back to the question du jour, how...
I'm not gonna lie, Tony. I will appreciate that video, but I also would not like police to have that kind of discretion and authority. You know?
How is it that an anti-lockdown protest, a peaceful anti-lockdown protest, is not allowed on Nathan Phillips Square or Young Dundas Square, but this? I don't know what this protest is trying to say. Well, actually, I do, but it would be impolite to speak my mind. In any event, it is a double standard.
So, it would be impolite to tell them what they stand for?
I mean, he knows that he'll get the shit kicked out of him if he starts talking about how they're all terrorists, or how he thinks they're all terrorists.
I feel like he's immediately going to turn to that anyways, but like, what a weird way of fucking putting it. Like, I'm almost certain. Now we'll do a countdown to when he mentions Hamas.
And we're going to try to find out why it is that people advocating for violence and death, because that's what's happening here, folks. People advocating for violence and death are completely tolerated and accommodated. And peaceful protesters that just want the economy to reopen, resume life as Canadians in Canada circa 2019, why they are ticketed and worse, even arrested and put in jail. So let's see what reaction we can get. Also, there really is no sense in me interviewing the pro-Hamas demonstrators here.
See?
There you go. Less than a minute. Less than a minute.
And part of me is like, so you can't say it. You got to be super secretive of it. And then, like, you just come out and say it anyways. But notice the B-roll. And I'm pretty sure. Sorry, you go on and say what you got to say, and then I'll shut it in.
I kind of think that because he's right next to the stoplight, when he was originally saying it, there might have been people nearby. Whereas there were less people nearby when he got to say his pro-Hamas comments.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he was in the same spot the whole time.
Yeah, but like it's a crosswalk, so like they might have crossed the street to go join the protest.
Yeah, we're not seeing it. They're on the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
But notice the clips that play here and what he's showing here and the scuffle. So let's look at these clips again. So while he's accusing the other people of being like pro-terrorist,
advocating for violence and death.
For violence. So the pro-Palestinians are advocating for violence and death. And while he's saying that,
here,
we get to see this dude with the
people
gash in the head.
advocating for violence and death are completely tolerated
and we get to see this
accommodated.
squabble here.
And peaceful protesters that just...
And that's all we get of the confrontation that had our politicians coming out and condemning anti-Semitism. And so
people advocating for violence and death are completely tolerated and
pretty sure you can see
accommodated.
It in a second.
And peaceful protesters that just want the economy to reopen, resume life as Canadians in Canada.
But basically, what happened in that squabble? That was the JDL, the Jewish Defense League. And they never mention it. They never bring it up. They just show that footage as if the Palestinian side is the ultra-aggressive side. The Jewish Defense League is a terrorist group, according to the FBI, since 2001. Yeah, we get both sides of the story, Dave. It's not like you're a journalist or anything. So I'll read. This is the Wikipedia page, but the JDL is a Jewish religious political organization in the United States whose stated goal is to protect Jews from anti-Semitism by whatever means necessary. It is classified as a right-wing terrorist group by the FBI since 2001 and has been designated a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. According to the FBI, the JDL has been involved in plotting and executing acts of terrorism within the United States. Most terrorism watch groups classify the group as inactive. Now, even though they might be somewhat inactive in the United States, they're very active in Canada. In a 2004, here we go. Let me see. There was one link that I wanted to find here. Okay, in 2011, the Canadian JDL organized a support rally for the English Defense League. Okay, so the English Defense League is a far-right ultranationalist group in England that was created by Tommy Robinson, who works for Rebel News. The event was denounced and condemned by the Canadian Jewish Congress. The rally held at the Toronto Zionist Centre attracted a counter-protest organized by Anti-Racist Action, resulting in 4 ARA members being arrested. The JDL Canada has also organized rallies in support of right-wing Israeli politician Moshe Feiglin and Dutch politician and well-known Islamic critic Geert Wilders of the Party for Freedom, and announced its support for the increasingly anti-Semitic Freedom Party of Austria. So they are a far-right, ultra-nationalist organization. They're a fascist group. So when you play little stills like this to make it look like this poor old man was beaten, you whitewash what's really going on here. Other footage had come out from the incident that showed that the pro-Palestinian protesters were not the ones who engaged in the fight. In fact, they were targeted by the JDL in the alleyway, and the JDL were the ones who brought knives and sticks and fought the pro-Palestinian protesters in the alley. And some of them are wearing, it's clear they're wearing JDL shirts. And I think in some later footage, when he plays more of it like later, you'll see the JDL logo like right on the shirt. And that's yeah, go for it, you know.
So sorry, Progressive was just like talking about like JDL and didn't know that the JDL was legal in Canada. Yeah, they're very legal and they are very present in Toronto. Like if you go to anything pro-Palestine, there will be JDL counter-protesters trying to instigate fights. And even here in like London, the like Pegida people and others were like often and Pegida, that's people against the Islamicization of Europe or something like that, of the West. I don't know what the acronym's German, isn't it?
Yes.
Like they'll show up to pretty much any far right like white supremacy type rally.
So I've thrown
very
it on,
present in Canadian far right politics is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, thrown it on the screen. So this is a picture I snapped at. It would have been the weekend after the Charlottesville rally where Heather Heyer was murdered. For those who don't remember, people marched in the street. Jews will not replace us. I know I showed my Facebook, but I don't care. My Facebook's public, and I just post same shit I would post on Twitter. So people know I exist. You know, I don't have any like too revealing or doxing information on there. So, whatever. Point being, this, as you can tell by the date too, August 26, 2017. So this is right after. Yeah, you can follow Progressive. That's cool. This is right after, like the weekend after Charlottesville had happened, and Pegida decided, because of what happened in Charlottesville, that they were going to hold a rally in front of our city hall in London, Ontario. Because of course they are, because they're fucking assholes. And so they go to hold this rally, and there was like maybe 10 Pegida members, and like over 1,000 people in our community came to counter protest them, which was fucking amazing. But to protect the assholes, the Pegida people, you had both the police and you had these people here. And notice this person on his thing, he's got a thin blue line Canadian flag, so a pro-police symbol. He's got a 3%ers, so that's an American militia group. And he's got an Israeli flag, because he's a member of the JDL. And so does this person here. You can see he has a Israeli flag, though it's a little bit blurred out as well. And they came to protect Pegida. And it's worth noting that the leader of Pegida in Germany has praised Hitler, has dressed as Hitler, and so the JDL, who has as their like mantra to defend against anti-Semitism by any means necessary, are allying with an explicit Nazi organization simply because they share an ideology in hating Muslims and Arabs. How fucked up is that? It's also worth noting, like, you can see the flak jackets and shit like this, right? Being a militia member in Canada is against the law. And so when I talked to these people and I approached them and was like, oh, so you're part of a militia? They would be like, oh, no, we're not a militia. And I think it was this guy in particular, the dude in the plaid. And I was like, well, if you're not in a militia, why the flak jackets and all this? And he goes, in Canada, being in a militia is against the law, so we're not a militia. And then he winked at me. So this is the type of people that we got out here. It's also worth noting, in this picture, this guy in the plaid, he was one of the only people arrested at this event because he eventually punched a protester in the face. Just in case you're wondering who the bad people are in the world. This dude right here. Wonder if we can get a good shot of the size of the crowd. Yeah, so like there was like 1,000 of us versus the like 10 of them inside there. It's also worth noting that, again, like every situation. So this is going to be an awkward shot of me, because when the police line moved in, I got shoved in to the Pegida side. Hence why I'm taking the photo of the back of the police officers. But I tried my best to stay as close to the police officers. And then I started talking to the protesters on the other side, being like, please, I got separated. I'm not one of them. And yeah, it was the deep undercover was not very clear. I did not know how big the rally was going to be, so I ended up I was reading at the time the New Jim Crow. So here I am, standing on like the side with Pegida, reading the New Jim Crow. It was a very weird and bizarre experience. But this guy was another special dude. What did it say on a shirt? It says, bullets make me happy. Yeah, this guy. It's a Smith & Wesson shirt. And he says he travels all over the place, just taking pictures of social justice warriors to expose them. I didn't catch his name, but there he is. So don't go near this person at a protest, all right? But yeah, that was what a fantastic experience. But there you go.
I'm young and I'm black and my hat's down low.
Tracer, you is subscribed. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Now you get to spam Ezra's in the chat. It's Tricker? Tricker.
Yeah, they did say that earlier.
Sorry, I missed it when you said it earlier. The thing is with the two C's, it just had a Tracer's where my mind went. But Tricker, it makes sense. He's anti-Antifa. Tag a hate net. Sub rescinded. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Tricker, we love you. It's alright. Jody, BB is literally cleaning up Adolf's image with Israel, so this doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I mean, like, Netanyahu has been reaching out to alt-right groups as well. Because, of course, they have connect. I mean, Richard Spencer promotes Israel as being, like, the ideal ethno-state, or something that they want to replicate, right? So none of that is surprising at all.
Yeah, there was also some like WhatsApp groups and stuff like that during the like recent ethnic cleansing attempts in like I think it was Accra or maybe Haifa in 48 quote unquote Israel, where like there were WhatsApp groups of like Israeli militias saying like tonight we are the Nazis type of shit. Like they're aware of what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're aware of who they are emulating and allying with. It's not accidental.
Tea Time Trading asked who Richard Spencer was. So here's Richard Spencer. And while that's playing on a loop, Richard Spencer is, I guess, most known for Hailgate, which was after Trump got elected. He basically said "Hail Donald Trump" and started like throwing around the Roman salute, and is a super Nazi who claims he wants peaceful ethnic cleansing, and yeah, he's a white nationalist. He wants whites to have their own sort of country, and so this was at Donald Trump's inauguration, and that is an amazing human being who punched him in the face. I've seen that guy get punched before. I'm calling him Dick Spencer. Yes, no, he is a dick. Which surprisingly, Elron and I sort of debated him by proxy. But maybe that's a story for another day. Guy's an asshole though. Complete fucking asshole. Phew. This is a long video. We'll see what we can get.
2019, why they are ticketed and worse, even arrested and put in jail. So let's see what.
So yeah, the point being, they whitewashed the JDL, which are not a cool group, let's just say. A fascist group that, of course, they're going to whitewash.
What reaction we can get. Also, there really is no sense in me interviewing the pro-Hamas demonstrators here. These are the same people that congregate for the odious Al-Quds Day rally, typically in late June. They actually print off pictures of me on pages telling people not to speak with me. I swear I'm not making this up. Check out the video footage. How do you explain marching with the very people who...
Hell yeah.
That is
He did
amazing. Do you think he wore the glasses to try to like throw them off? It's I'm not the guy in the picture. Oh my god. David Menzies, what a moron.
The Clark Kent defense.
Yeah. Print those off. Yes, we need I should have that as my opening image. This man is fake news. Do not speak to him. Just say no. And have that instead of the what do I have? It's the Hieronymus Bosch painting that I have there now, which I think is like Jesus' second coming. I can't remember the name of the painting. Yeah, I should replace that with this. That'll be fucking beautiful.
Who despise you, who would want you killed. And of course, hey, hi guys. Sorry you're not
No,
playing.
He's not the former chair of the CRTC.
They're
Different
trading them
Menzies.
young.
I got confused in a recent article that did the same thing. I was like, Menzies?
Forever.
David?
Yeah, so they're not in a mood to talk to me. I wonder why. Maybe it's because I'm not asking the kind of softball questions CBC reporters do. In any event, let's wander into the square and see if we
CBC
can
is not going to
have
walk up to you and
authorities
go, "Are you
explain
pro-Hamas?"
why there is such a glaring and odious and egregious double standard when it comes to freedom of protest. I'm just wondering, I'm trying to get clarity in terms of the rules of protesting, how anti-lockdown protests, people waving Canadian...
no comment at this time.
You have no comment?
No.
But why is there a double standard? Can you please answer me that, sir?
I can't comment at this time.
I wonder, like, he does this every time, and no one ever, like, gives in, except for the one security guard last week who basically called him an idiot.
It's kind of amazing though, like watching David, like, because he puts the setup in, right? Like in a gotcha, you have like this setup where you formulate the question in such a way as they would have to answer it somehow, and then you'd be like, aha, but what about this? And you watch him do it, but it's just so fucking obvious, and then people go, no, I'm not going to answer that. And he's like, what? It's amazing.
I
It's
will
so
say-
good. It's top shelf.
He does have a kind of talent to just continue talking as if he didn't get the rejection, and it never ends. Like, that's the one talent he does have, where he could just keep talking as if nothing happened.
Well, I mean, how else would he get a wife?
Yeah.
Really?
Can't comment? Okay, he can't comment. I'm just wondering, last summer we came
Like,
here
this
to
guy,
cover
some random
the
security dude
Afro-Indigenous
is just
rising,
like, oh,
illegal
no.
occupation of the
Oh,
square.
no.
We were threatened with being charged with trespassing.
Maybe if I don't
by
look him in the
you and
eyes, he'll
police.
just leave me alone.
I am wondering, why were we not allowed to practice journalism in the square, and yet this protest is occurring in the square right now, and some of these people are advocating very nasty things indeed. Why is that?
Okay, I just want to stop you right there. Unfortunately, I cannot comment on that because I don't know what happened with you or in that incident. The best person to contact is prior strategic communications with the city of Toronto.
Oh, that would be Bruce Hawkins, he, him. And Bruce Hawkins, he, him. And in case we mistake Bruce Hawkins for a she, her, or a z, zer, he...
Okay, no.
Like, why was that necessary? Always just, you gotta throw in some subtle transphobia while we're at it, because, of course.
was actually part of a spying mission on us coming to Nathan Phillips
I
Square
know, don't bother, Rick.
to cover the protests. So I don't think he's going to.
That's his whole shtick, though. I'm just going to ask the random
like I said,
security guard on the
spying
street,
our
because somehow the
activities.
random
So,
security guard's going to
again,
help
I
me.
just wonder why journalists can't practice journalism on Nathan Phillips Square, and yet you can have basically people advocating hate speech gathering here.
Again, I'm unable to comment to that, okay? Sorry about that.
All right,
Surprise,
thank you anyways.
surprise!
Well, folks, you never know who you're going to meet at a
That
demonstration.
whole
and
long thing
Yeah.
for no comment.
That's the David Menzies segment in a nutshell. That's his whole vibe. I'm just gonna ask Rent-A-Cops questions they cannot answer, and then just be like, well, see, no one's answering the question. Do you ever feel like you've got an angel and a devil on your shoulder, but it's an anarcho angel and a tanky angel? No. Like, oh, well, Okay, let's be clear. I'm sure everyone has a gulag fantasy every once in a while. I'm not saying it's the right or ethical choice. Just sometimes you're like, I can see where they're coming from sometimes, you know? Especially when you have obstinance. So much obstinance. But I'd rather not go down that route, you know? That guy gets my tanky angel.
Is that a new Weird Al song? We're all spending most of our lives living in a gulag paradise.
Well, the gulag's not paradise. It's more of just like the idea of like, I don't know. I would love for people to just realize like how to create a better society. But then for some reason, as much as I believe people can change and grow, some people like David Menzies just might be fucking stuck there forever. You know? I don't know what to do with the David Menzies. What do you do? He's stuck in a loop. He's never changed his entire life.
And we've run into Pierce. You might not remember Pierce, but we have some very disturbing footage. It dates back a few months ago when Mayor Tory was declaring Young Dundas Square a no man's land. Pierce was violently taken down by police and arrested for waving a Canadian flag. Just check it out.
Take your documentation. Did he give it back?
No, he told me to come over here and just wait over here. So I'm waiting over here, and we'll see if he decides to come bring it back to me, and we'll see what trumped up charges or tickets he's going to bring me in the process.
This is uncanny. Do you think it's because you didn't have your seatbelt on properly, or because you have... Okay.
Like, so he's showing this guy get arrested here, and they say he got arrested for waving a Canadian flag. I don't know who the hell this guy is, but my guess, since the video starts with him already running away from the police, I have a feeling it's not just about the flag. That's just my vibes here. I get the distinct vibe that it's not the flag. It could be the fact that he's in public without a mask. That could be what instigated this.
It's all because Section 2 of the Charter.
Section 2 of the Charter! Everyone who shouts that doesn't know what Section 1 is!
Wow.
Look at how many cops are here. Now that's like 15 minutes.
Sir, why are they arresting you?
So the camera doesn't lie, Pierce. You are waving a Canadian flag at Young Dundas Square. You are viciously arrested.
Yes. David Menzies.
You are charged. You're hauled off in a cruiser.
Indiana Jones.
And yet here we have Palestinian flags galore in live lanes of
like
traffic.
Again, it has nothing to do with the goddamn
live
flag.
Lanes of traffic.
Jesus
They're
Christ.
illegally blocked, and there are no penalties whatsoever. Well, can you make sense of this to me?
You know what? I can't really make sense of it at all. I mean, I'm waving a Canadian flag, as you mentioned. I'm alone, so I'm not even breaking the Emergency Act. And I'm
He wasn't wearing a
protesting
mask in
for a
public.
reason, for something that's important to our country. You know, not a conflict that's 5,000 miles away. A very complicated issue. So...
What?
Fuck off. I hate this shit.
I do. It is amazing to me that like somehow local issues less complicated. When he was being arrested, he was yelling out loud, Section 2. It is worth reminding to everyone. Section 2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms does guarantee us the right to freedom of expression. Wonderful. That's nice. But there is a superseding clause. It's called Section 1 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is the limitations clause, which the whole point of having the limitations clause is to go, look, even though we guarantee you the right to freedom of expression, sometimes your freedom of expression can do harms. For example, one thing that Rebel enjoys about limiting their Section 2 Charter rights is suing people for libel. Because we realize in our legal system that libel can do undue harm, and so we allow people to sue for libel. That is a restriction on your speech. You're not allowed to libel someone. They never bring that up. They never talk about it. But like they believe that there are things that can limit your right to freedom of expression. But to them, it's just like Section 2, Section 2. It's like, yeah, but we have limits. It's the way it is. And even in Canada, wonderful country that we are, we limit hate speech in our country. It's went all the way up to the Supreme Court. They ruled it constitutional, which means you can create laws in Canada that restrict hate speech, which is why, for example, you're not allowed to teach Holocaust denial in schools. That went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that's A-okay. You can pass a law saying you're not allowed to promote Holocaust denial in schools. And so we have. So wait, they're literally violating Section 1 while silent? Well, they're not violating Section 1. Because Section 1 isn't really like a violation. It more is just a limit on what the other sections of the Charter and Rights do, right? And there's like, it's more legally complicated than that because there's like a procedure. It's called the Oakes test. And if you want to learn that, take a first-year law course. Or listen, we've talked about it a bunch of times on the podcast. But there's basically steps to whether or not you can limit one of your charter rights. But the point is, we have the limitation section. And so it's like, it's not a violation. It's a stipulation for how the other rights that we have, like freedom of assembly. So, for example, freedom of assembly, perfectly a good thing to have, that you're allowed to assemble with your people in a public square and protest. Now, we have a global pandemic. So the government was like, we're going to pass some restrictions that prevent people from being allowed to assemble in public. That violates our charter right to the freedom of assembly. But because we have this limitation clause, one of the things you can work out is like, okay, the law has a purpose. There's a pandemic, and we want to restrict people from assembling not because we want to wreck their charter right, but because we have to deal with the pandemic. And so, like other legal moves, it's perfectly legal to say, no, during a global pandemic, we're going to restrict people's ability to assemble. And that's in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So it's just like, they just don't understand how the law works, is what's happening here. And then they get ticketed, and they're spreading all this bullshit online saying, oh, we're going to fight all this shit in court, and we're never going to have to pay these tickets. They're probably going to have to pay these tickets. You know, some of them might get thrown out because, like any legal system, judges have discretion and things go the way that they go, right? Like, not everything is going to work out that way, but a lot of the things that these people are doing, breaking the law, they're going to see penalties for it. And that's, I'm sorry that you did not take a civics lesson or a law class to understand that. And then you turn to Rebel News for legal information, which is not a good idea. Not a good idea.
In my opinion, I would say, you know.
Yeah, but you are allowed to libel the police, though.
The agenda of Doug Ford.
Or slander them. Fuck the police.
But if it goes with the agenda of Trudeau, his little progressive agenda, you know, I think he'll allow it.
You know, it is staggering to me, Pierce, because you are advocating for
he's
the
like the comment section of Rebel.
Stores and businesses to reopen, for people to be employed.
Absolutely.
In a completely peaceful fashion.
It's just Justin Trudeau.
That's
like,
verboten,
everything will be different.
We have a lot of individuals here. I know this is going to happen, where they're going to be advocating violence and death to an identifiable group. And Mayor Tory, the chief of police, they're absent.
Yeah. Well, listen,
like at our rally in London, nothing but peace and love. There was Jewish people for independent Jewish voices at our event locally in London, and they were welcomed with open arms. It was lovely. It was a big peace and love fest. No one was calling for the death or hatred of anyone. And at their rally, like, the only people who showed up causing shit were the JDL, a known hate organization.
Like you said, as a Jew, it's very worrying for me. I can't wave a Canadian flag in my own country, and meanwhile we have people waving flags of Palestinian flags in groups. You know, they're saying Israel will fall, so they're calling for, you know, death, the elimination of a country of innocent people.
So I don't like the Canadian state. I wish Canada would go away. That doesn't mean that I want every single person in the country of Canada to die. Those two things are not equatable. Now, I will say, that doesn't mean that people don't hold very violent thoughts in this crowd. Sure, I didn't ask every single one of them individually what their opinions or thoughts are. But the leap that he's making is a leap of logic that is not warranted.
And, you know, I was fighting for the very right to protest, to wave a flag. You know, I was born here.
It's sad he's
so, you know, they're allowed to apparently protest here. I can't explain why they're allowed to protest here.
No, I guess when it comes
a lot
to
of them
terrorism,
He
this
specified-
is Justin Trudeau's Canada.
Sorry, he specified what?
He specified that he was born here and then went on to talk about them protesting, and he doesn't know why they're allowed to protest. Huh.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that, but thank you for pointing out the bigotry.
Oh, Piers.
Yeah.
Is it
Pierce
not?
with your Canadian
And I go
flag.
back to a few years ago when our own homegrown Al-Qaeda terrorist Omar Khadr didn't go to jail in Canada. Rather, he was given a $10.5 million check for hurt feelings. How do you...
Hurt feelings.
For like a decade in fucking Guantanamo.
Omar Khadr was tortured for a decade in Guantanamo Bay. He had hurt feelings, though. It was just hurt feelings. That's all it was. It's worth noting, like, Omar Khadr is one of these figures on Rebel News that will come in and out. Khadr, sorry. Will come in and out, mainly because they want to start being Islamophobic. Yes, 3 times Harper ignored the Supreme Court. No, like, what our country did to Omar was fucking terrible. Fucking atrocious. A human rights disaster, what we did to this young man. And so, he sued our government, and our government was like, we're not going to legally fight this, and paid him, settled with him for $10 million, rather than paying for the lawyers to fight it. And I have to say, for whatever you think of Justin Trudeau, great fucking decision. I don't care that I had any tax money to go to that settlement that then ended up, well, like, you know, I don't think I've actually ever paid taxes in my life because I'm fucking poor. But point stands that I don't care if tax money went to Omar. You know? One of the few
it was the right call.
And it's amazing because, like, Ezra wrote a whole book on him. I haven't read it yet. Ezra just uses Omar constantly as a stalking point. And, like, the thing is, even when you look into his case specifically, like what exactly Omar did that he was sent to Guantanamo for, they accuse him of killing an American soldier when he was 15. Or he might have been like younger than, but it was like near when he was 15. So he was a child anyways. But it's not even clear that he did what he was accused of doing anyways. He was never put on trial. He was like quasi put on trial. And they kept him there anyways throughout the whole thing and tortured him while he was there. He complained constantly of being tortured, denied food, water, other things. So, yeah. Wonderful.
How do you
But
square
he just
that?
has hurt feelings.
I can't
Just hurt feelings.
explain it. You know, it speaks for itself. It really does.
And, you know, Pierce,
No,
I gotta
it
be
doesn't
honest,
speak
I
for itself.
really don't
It only
care
speaks for itself if you're a
what
fucking
an
bigot.
individual's view is on the Middle East. I'm all about freedom of speech. Of course, the line in the sand for me is when you advocate violence or death to a person or a group of people. But I'm for freedom of speech. I'm for freedom of the press. I'm for freedom of assembly. I'm just asking for a level playing field. If you want to rally for whatever cause they're rallying for tonight, that's fine. But why shut down peaceful anti-lockdown protesters?
Of course, I support these people's rights to protest. I support their rights to say whatever they want. I mean, they are saying insightful hate speech, and they are calling for violence on a certain people. But, you know, that's, you know, we have free speech. I believe I'm a strong advocate
no one
of
was
free
calling
speech,
violence there.
and I support the rights to do it. But there is no consistency in John Tory's Toronto or Doug Ford's Ontario. I can't wave a flag on a sidewalk, a Canadian flag on a sidewalk, but meanwhile, hundreds of people can come here and say whatever they want. So, you know what? I don't know. I don't know what to say.
It's despicable. Now, one last question, Pierce.
Because you were
What brings you
violating
here tonight. Are you just passing through, or are
health
you here
mandates.
to kind of lay witness to what's going to take place here tonight?
I want to see for myself what the cops are going to do if they're going to, you know, hold up any consistency. And maybe you know,
It's worth noting as
asking some
well. Like
questions,
the
maybe
police
ask
have
why
not
they're
really
not
cracked down
showing
on the
consistency, why they're
anti-lockdown,
showing a
anti-mask
bias
protests.
towards,
I mean, they show up after and ticket people and other
anti-lockdown
stuff,
protesters.
mostly for not wearing masks.
No,
and
and
whatnot,
it's
but-
personal for you. You bore the brunt of the heinous offense
But they like to
of waving
pretend
a
like they're
Canadian
they're
flag
like
in the
martyrs
town
and they're
square in
victims
Toronto in
of police abuse.
2021.
But like,
And
property across, not even at.
I mean, Chris Guy got arrested for threatening
I was on
people.
public property alone, so I wasn't even breaking the Emergency Act.
And yet this is completely tolerable. Incredible double standard. If you do get an answer from the police, we've been trying to ask them the same questions. They kind of get laryngitis. So I wish you luck in trying to get some response to your query.
Thank you.
Hey officers, how you doing? Just wondering, this person here, Pierce, he was arrested in January for flying a Canadian flag at Yonge Dundas Square. Why aren't any of these people being arrested? Officer?
what? Sorry, I missed that. What did he say? I was responding to Tricker.
He was just like following around asking the cops about Pierce, and it's just like, I'm so tired of David Menzies asking people questions that he knows he won't get an answer to, and not getting an answer, and still playing that footage. Because it's like half of every video he does. Also, holy shit, this video's half an hour?
I know. I think there's a few more choice cuts that I want to get to anyways. Maybe I'll speed it up a bit.
Can anyone answer this?
We can at least avoid him.
Officer, how can you be arrested
harassing
for
the police?
waving a Canadian flag in the town square, and you can have pro-terrorist groups wave their flags, and there's
Skip
nothing
some
to see
of
here?
these scenes.
Why aren't you consistent in terms of the protest rules?
Look how long it
You're really too
goes,
cowardly
though.
to answer these questions? Folks, let me tell you that the police are bending over backwards not to give any tickets. As you can see, the 3 arches over the City Hall reflecting pool have a few dozen people on top of them. I have never in my life, and I've lived most of my life in Toronto, ever seen this, be it a sporting victory parade, be it any other kind of protest. It's really quite dangerous, I have to tell you. If you fall, that's about maybe 3 stories, and highly illegal. But again, as they say in Alabama when it comes to the police on Nathan Phillips Square on this evening, these dogs don't hunt. So what do you...
So, foreshadowing. Just remember him talking about the arches. That's going to come back. I do wanted to hear this guy here wearing a flak jacket. Again, notice how the far-right protests always have people with flak jackets. Always.
What do you make of what's going on here, sir?
Just people exercising their rights and freedoms, right?
You know what? And I'm all for that. I don't care where on the question you are in the Middle East.
Creed, my friend. That's what makes this country very great.
But why is it that if this was an anti-lockdown protest, it would be shut down, people would be ticketed, people would be arrested, and yet this kind of a protest is okay? Why the double standard?
That's the end game that's coming, right? They're trying to clamp down on the people that actually care about this country, but now...
That's the end game. They're trying to clamp down on people who actually care about this country.
You know what?
I wonder who they is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's got a Saint Michael and a wolf on his patch on his thing. Could be a wolves, the Sons of Odin type person.
I only see the end game where we all win like this and everything's all confetti and everything.
I don't know if
goes
Tony's
back to
around
normal
anymore.
lives,
Tony
man.
would probably get
Well,
it.
you know, it's funny. That's what the anti-lockdown protesters want. I mean, they're peaceful protests.
I also
They just
noticed
want
like the camera's
country
doing
to
a good
open up
job
again.
at not like
we
going
see
lower
some
and
very
unveiling like what is that, patches of-
inflammatory messages here.
I know.
You know,
but they're adults. They know what they're doing, right?
But there's an element here too in which there's a segment of the far right, this kind of like boogaloo aesthetic, which is like has this like semblance of like anti-police, and therefore will like stand like with certain groups against the police. But if you follow their beliefs back, it's still just far right and bad. Basically, they want like anti-police, but also want their ethnic states.
You know, I mean, we just try here to do our own thing, right?
Now, are you guys part of the freedom protest or
the freedom protest earlier?
Okay.
We're just here to show support. You know, regardless the negativity, we're just trying to be positive out here.
Freedom's essential, man.
Why is it, sir, that
Oh, I was hoping that I would get a shot of the dude who's now in the back. But...
Is it, sir, that
No, I can't see. David's hands in the way.
this is now a no man's
There's a
land,
brief
Nathan
moment
Phillips
of, I think, a
Square
Canadian
for
flag.
anti-lockdown
It looks
protests,
like
as
military
is
surplus.
Yonge Dundas
Yeah.
Square, yet a pro Hamas
What was
demonstration.
Breeder's emblem? They didn't really have an
Yeah,
emblem.
it's okay, yeah.
Most of them would just
Yeah,
wear
you gotta use the speaker
Hawaiian
system here.
shirts.
No kidding.
I heard them, yeah. They're up there, listen. Yeah, you can hear them, yeah.
You know, sir, you should be very careful
He's
raising
claiming
this
that the
Canadian
Palestinian
flag too
protests
high.
somehow had access to
Told
the
me, don't go
loudspeakers
in there,
from
he
above.
said. I said, why? It's a free country. I can go where I like. No one's going to stop me. I said, what, are you going to arrest me? I said, I'm for
Saint
freedom for
Michael's or
everybody.
something on the emblem.
very
I
simple.
The police were implying that a Canadian flag is
Pretty
inciting.
dangerous in Canada, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does it feel like we're in Toronto right now?
Pardon? Freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free, man.
Yeah.
Freedom. This person almost has an Ed the Sock voice too.
Could you imagine? It was.
I really.
Are you sure you're not just hearing Ed the Sock everywhere?
No, it's.
Jody's traumatized by Ed the Sock. Confirmed.
I don't think it's Ed the Sock. Ed the Sock has a pretty distinctive look. Let's just say it. Let's throw up some Steven Kersner. There we go. There's some. I'll show it to you. See. Here, 1 second. I have to exit.
We're some alternate universe.
To show it to the people in the Discord. Here we go. This is Ed the Sock in real life, IRL. Or here's Ed the Sock. Ed the Sock.
So sad.
So it's not him, but definite raspy expression.
No, definitely not, man. It's sad what's going on. And I don't think they've given one ticket here.
I haven't seen anything like that.
You're target, the people that are against the government, right? Of course.
Isn't that amazing? So I guess you can be against a foreign government, and that's okay, but you can't be against
If
the
you checked
domestic
Wednesday,
government.
we did a whole segment on Ed the Sock.
Have you ever seen this? All these
And
people
Leon
on the arches?
No, that's unsafe, very unsafe. But the
Very dangerous.
the cop told me some people have already been assaulted. The sergeant said, yeah.
Oh, really?
That's what he said, yeah.
Who was assaulting whom?
He didn't really give me details, but he said there's already been a few assaults, but
wow.
I'm for freedom for everybody, eh, Dave? So
Well, that's the thing.
I love it. He knows fucking Dave by name.
Yeah, they're on a first name basis for sure. Yeah.
Because Dave goes to all these fucking anti-lockdown, anti-mask protests and all this stuff. But even then, I love also too, sure, white dude with the freedom thing. I pointed out how the cops have been pretty soft on the anti-lockdown, anti-mask protests, but it's not just being soft. There was the one Peel police officer who was hugging the anti-mask protesters without a mask on, and was eventually, I think, suspended. Probably isn't going to lose his job for that, but the cops are on these people's side, sadly.
I could care less your position on the Middle East, but I don't understand why a pro-Hamas demonstration is tolerated, but not an anti-lockdown one.
I asked them how many tickets they give,
Dave
but
almost
I don't
sounded
think they're going to
drunk.
give one here today.
And you may recall, sir, when we came here last June to Nathan Phillips Square when it was being illegally occupied by Afro-Indigenous Rising, we were threatened by security and the police for trespassing for practicing journalism. How do you square that?
It's sickening,
How is-
and we
How is this journalism?
Yeah. What do you mean just
How
interviewing
is
your
this-
friend? No, interviewing your friend at a...
Yeah.
Yo, David, come up to the cottage. Let's put back some brews, yo.
If your hips ain't bothering you, and you can make the trek.
It's May 2-4.
we got to stand up against this tyranny for sure, Dave.
I think I've got that guy's
Well,
voice.
sir, be careful.
I smoked way too much.
I hope you're saved from being charged for flying a Canadian flag here. It's very triggering to some people, it seems.
Die free men. Die free men. Yeah, amen, brother.
Careful,
Thank you for
careful
being
what
here
you wish for with this crowd.
and bringing the.
The hell is this, New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel honored to know what Red Green does in his spare time now.
Oh my god. Yeah, it kind of has that voice too. But the implication here that somehow the Palestinian protesters are going to kill these people.
Real news to the people, It's very important.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Wow.
I love Rebel News.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You're the best. You're my hero.
Well, sir, I mean, this was...
See, now he's going to interview his fans.
JDL. No, that's an IDF.
Yeah, it's
shirt.
IDF.
Okay.
And this person, his wife apparently lived in Israel, is Israeli.
It's like a dangerous thing to be flagging in Toronto right now. Of course, you have the mounted unit behind you, I just noticed. So.
I ride and die for Israel. I love Israel. I'm a supporter. My wife is from Israel. My good friend here is from Israel. I live and die for Israel. That's a side of democracy and freedom. We don't support terrorism. All these guys are supporting Hamas, filthy organization of terrorists, indiscriminately bombing Israelis. We're doing what's right.
You know, sir, our objective here is to try to figure out why the double standard in Toronto exists, and by that I mean,
I love like he doesn't address any of like the content of what he's saying. David just wants to make it about the fact of like, well, why do all these pro-Palestinian people just get to stand around and not get arrested, and meanwhile all these anti-mask people they're getting arrested all the time, and yet this guy could just spout off a whole bunch of nonsense. That's fine.
We've been covering the anti-lockdown protests, which are not allowed to be staged here or at Yonge Dundas Square.
Well, I wasn't done being a bigot, David, and you've moved the conversation
in which, if you read
somewhere
some
else.
of the signs, they are anti-Semitic, they are hateful. We all know what this is about. Absolutely. And yet John Tory and the Chief of Police and City Hall Security, they completely tolerate it. Why is that?
I noticed David said
They
the
allow these
signs
guys
are
to take up
anti-Semitic,
public
but like, we
space,
haven't seen a sign
okay?
that's anti-Semitic.
On taxpayers' money, without a permit. They're violating, first of all, the coronavirus is a bunch of BS anyway. And on top of that, supporting terrorism, Hamas, a designated terrorist organization by
Canada. Gonna get kicked off YouTube.
Canada, and they're waving Hamas.
We're gonna get kicked off YouTube, or they are?
They are, yeah.
Why? What's the...
He just said the coronavirus is a bunch of bullshit anyway.
Oh! Yes, well, I mean, we should report it. Remind me, well, what time is this? Timestamp? 1949. Go report it. 1949. Guy denied COVID.
Flags, and that's perpetrating.
They could probably get away with it because it's like, although like he didn't push back. So.
And we're going to stand up for Israel because that's the side of democracy and freedom. That's what's right.
Also, I've been to Israel several times. It's worth fighting for. It's worth dying for. It as
worth
a
noting
person
that,
who was born and
Rebel
bred here
took
in
a bunch
Toronto,
of them to Israel, including Gavin McGuinness. And Gavin McGuinness's takeaway was that he hated Jews
it's
even
very
more.
sad. Most people
did a
are
whole
ignorant.
bunch of
They just don't know
segments
the
on that.
facts.
So.
The media distorts everything. Not the right wing
In case
media,
you're wondering
of course. The Rebel News tells it like it
Rebel
is. The left wing
deals with those
ludicrous
situations.
fruitcake media, read by this Trudeau loser.
Fruitcake media.
Fruitcake media run by this Trudeau loser. Fruitcake media run by Trudeau. This guy, this dude's a champion.
Prime Minister in history, and these guys are just.
What was that, Alron?
I said, what a proud Canadian he is.
Oh, yeah.
So proud.
No, I've met a lot of these
Canada.
assholes. Don't worry, Alron. You have a few of these in America too. This is a known breed. We've all there's a few of these in every country. All right.
Well, thankfully, the show isn't about America, is it? So we can just leave that be.
Just a bunch of sheep being led to the slaughter, and they should know the truth.
It's all
about this.
coded.
The most humane army on the planet that warns civilians to get out. They don't want any human casualties whatsoever.
Yeah, and you know,
they don't want any human casualties whatsoever, except they just slaughtered 200 people, 60 of which I think were children, and all over 72,000 I think have been injured so far.
Yeah, they warn people to get out. They give them like 45 minutes to an hour, and they fucking airstrike their buildings.
Listen, they're the most courteous. They're just super ineffective.
It's amazing. You would think the progressive left, I mean, once upon a time they did support Israel. It's quite the contrary now. You even have groups called Queers Against Israeli Apartheid, yet Israel is the only country I know of in the Middle East that has 2 gay pride parades, whereas in the Palestinian Authority, if you're found to be gay, yeah, you know what happens?
They throw you off the rooftop if you're gay.
Fuck off.
I mean, not true, but like having 2 pride parades is evidence for David that you're like a country that really supports gay people. 2 pride parades. Not to mention that gay marriage is not legal in Israel.
Having 2 pride parades that regularly get attacked by far-right people and where, like, people have been, like, stabbed because they are, like, in a gay rights parade. Like, it's It's just such a level
They
of
have
like
2 of them.
cognitive dissonance and just like unawareness of like anything regarding that whole issue.
That throw them off rooftops thing has been a meme that's been going around forever. Like, I honestly don't know of like an example where that happened, but it gets tossed around like the far right community, like constantly. Like, oh, if you're gay in these countries, you'll be thrown off rooftops. That's just like the go-to. Any Middle Eastern country, apparently they're just throwing gays off rooftops. Now, granted, the treatment of gays in a lot of those communities is probably not great. Anyone within the LGBTQ plus community. But like, what is it? I can't remember. There was like somebody, like they had a word for it, like pink washing or something like this. Like there's an element here in
pink
which
washing.
That it's like trying to use the fact that we've all come to the conclusion that LGBTQ plus people are just like everyone else and should be treated with respect and dignity just like everyone else, because we've made it and gotten to that decision, that you can then use it as a cudgel to like beat back everyone else that hasn't like sufficiently made it, to then justify your indiscriminate bombing of like those communities. You know, here's the thing: I would rather to not bomb these countries to oblivion, but instead maybe like talk to them about why they should be nicer to gay people. And you could do that without bombs, you know? I don't know.
And like, it's also the assumption that like there are no queer Palestinians that aren't like like their lives aren't endangered. Like, there are queer Palestinian activist groups. There are like, and the thing is, the fucking IDF, if they find out that a Palestinian person living in the occupied territories is gay, will then use that as a threat over their heads to force those Palestinians to like spy on their neighbors for the IDF. Like, there's a very long history. It's kind of like the human shield thing too, where like Israel like routinely makes use of human and child shields whenever they're engaging with like Palestinian militants, and then they just kind of like project that onto Palestinians because, you know, if we're doing it, well, they must be doing it worse. And it's just like, fuck off.
Yep, it's terrible. Just like this guy's
The only democracy in the Middle East where actually everyone has rights, including gays, like you just said. The Arabs are treated better in Israel than any Arab country on the
What's to
planet.
say? Like, I bet you this guy probably is not kind to gay
We're just
people.
here to basically
Just
say
my
how
guess.
it is. We have the right to defend ourselves, right? But they're spewing hate. Like, they really are spewing hate. They're saying things that we would never say. We're from Thornhill, and Thornhill.
Like they're never specific. It's just somehow this crowd is saying things that are bad, but they never give any specifics.
Oh, when did this happen, man?
They don't have any evidence of them saying something.
There's a mob of people.
That's incredible.
And they're claiming they were
Did you-
attacked in
Partying
Thornhill.
and
Let me
dancing,
see
just
if
showing
this
our
is-
flags. We weren't spewing any hate. We weren't saying death to anybody or calling anybody terrorists. But we were accosted, and like in Thornhill.
That's very emboldened, I think, by the people that accosted you, because if I know that area of the city, that there's a significant Jewish community there. So these were people, I guess, from out of the community coming up to do harm to you?
I don't know if they were there to cause harm per se. I think it ended up being that way. But I don't know if that's what their intent was. Their intent was probably just like us being here in their rally. They were probably just wanting to come to our rally to basically
They want to cause havoc. Havoc and mayhem in Thornhill. That's what
And
they
if there was any assaults or were any charges?
Interesting that like he's taking it at an extreme that she wasn't taking it, you know? Or she's like they were just showing up to do the protest, but then things got out of hand. But and I googled Thornhill. It turns out I guess one of the people in the JDL confrontation in Toronto was from Thornhill, maybe. But beyond that, like I don't see anything. Nothing Google wise is pulling up anything about Thornhill.
Just laid by police?
Yeah, police arrested several people right in front of her synagogue on Chabad Gate. Chabad Gate in Bathurst, there's about 30 squad cars there. There's several arrests made. They're causing havoc. I want to ask these people, what country in the world is held to a different standard than Israel, where 2,000 rockets get lobbed on top of the civilians, and that's justifiable, and Israel has to back down instead of defending their citizens? What country on the planet is held to that standard? Why do the United Nations have...
Like, it's just astonishing, like, the ignorance there. Like, as if Like, I mean, Israel has the Iron Dome, but like there's also like the precedents or the preceding events that like led up to the confrontation, where Israel was evicting and ethnically cleansing neighborhoods, and then decided to storm a mosque during a holy event, and claim that they needed to protect the mosque from the Muslims, and then like started beating them and shooting rubber bullets at them, and then Hamas fired some rockets. Now the rockets don't do that much damage because of the Iron Dome, and I think like so far only 12 Israelis have died in this. Barely any have been injured. And yet he makes it sound like they're under constant threat. Granted, sad that anyone has to die. But like maybe you shouldn't be ethnically cleansing in the first place. Maybe Thornhill has some Jewish people that can sniff out assholes. These are just talking points that have been drilled into the previous. Yeah, for sure. It's just sad because it's like, I mean, like, part of it too is like, I guess he said at the start that his partner is Israeli. But it's, yeah.
90% of their sanctions are against Israel. They're obsessed with the small country. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's baffling.
I mean, like, that is like another talking point, that Israel is just so small. It's just tiny. It's such an insignificant speck, and yet everyone wants to get involved. And yet here they are getting involved. Like, I always find that, like, really ironic.
Sir, and
not to mention the fact that, like, because of the displacement that occurred when Israel
we should follow Rebel News.
Just started to
we love you
occupy
guys.
Follow Rebel News.
Palestine.
Thanks for your time, guys.
The displacement of those people are now
Just
everywhere.
wondering, we're trying.
So
you're not allowed to, or you can't?
You can refer all questions to our media relations. Okay.
Oh, I've done that. But is there somebody here that can talk to me in law enforcement?
You could try speaking to a supervisor, but
okay. Can you point me in the direction? I'll go there.
All right, let's 2 times this.
Do they wear a special hat or
We
something?
don't need.
Okay then. And what you're doing here, I guess, is protecting the counter-protesters?
We're preserving what it is.
Okay, thank you. Just wondering.
Also acknowledge the fact of
Trying to
like
make sense of the rules when it comes to protests.
I mean, he's asking random cop stuff, but like notice as well the wall of police surrounding the pro-Israel people protesting there. And just like in the picture that I showed you, the police always have their backs to the bigots and have the front face to the non-bigots. And part of me thinks that like an element of that is just practicality, considering that there's usually more anti-bigots than bigots at these types of rallies. But then the other part of it is like that always sends a signal that they're there to protect the bigots. Which
they know they're allies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least London City Hall passed an ordinance where the police are not allowed to protect the bigots in our city, so they stopped rallying in front of City Hall. So there you go. That is a good way of getting rid of assholes. In fact, the last big one that they had, we kept unplugging their sound system, and they kept turning to the police and being like, "Look at they're destroying our speech." Ah! So there you go. Welcome.
That the anti-lockdown protests are shut down by law enforcement, yet something like this is allowed to happen. Why is that?
You'll have to speak to our corporate communications.
Yeah, I reached out to Ms. Osborne a few times, but I haven't heard back. So, you're here, you're enforcing the law, and I'm just wondering why there's a double standard.
You're going to have to speak to our corporate communications. That's the direction that we've been given. We're not making comments right now. I have a job to do right here, so I can't get engaged in a conversation with you about that right now.
All right, well, it's, I guess they're told the same thing ad nausea. So, folks,
So,
there
yeah,
are some
so
Jewish
they're-
or Israeli counter-protesters here.
they're told the same
There's
thing
just a
ad
couple dozen, as far as
nauseam,
I can
but I'm
tell.
gonna
That's
keep
why
asking
these police
you.
have set up a perimeter, because I think we kind of know what would happen to somebody in Toronto the Good if you're amongst this mob waving a Star of David flag.
So again, he's making it sound like the instigators will be the pro-Palestinian side, when we know video footage has come out that the JDL were the instigators of any violence that occurred in Toronto.
This is for their protection, and again, welcome to Justin Trudeau's Canada. Oh, just 1 second.
Yes, because
I
this
think
never
this is too
happened
many.
at all.
Are you really that afraid? Well, you've got your face diaper on, so you have no worry of getting it. Over 100,000 medical papers on COVID, and not one that makes a connection between outdoor transmission.
He's going to have a medical debate with some random...
This is the... Here we have, yet again, what I call the COVID Karen. Somebody freaking out that I don't have my face diaper on and complaining that I'm not 2 meters away from her. I think I am more than 2 meters away from her, but then again, I don't think engineering or anything...
It's worth noting. Notice how, like, all the protesters on the pro-Palestinian side are all wearing masks. Like, I don't think I've seen a single one of them without a mask on. And
Yep,
yet this
it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Any other educational pursuit that has anything to do with measurement is in her bailiwick. This is the classic social
I love
justice
that he
warrior
calls it a
that you
face
always see
diaper,
coming
too.
out
Jesus
to
Christ.
protests like this. Always on the wrong side of history. And now she's, I guess, terrified of her list. Wow. And look at that winner there with the Free Palestine jean jacket right now. That's amazing. Anyhow, we shall continue to walk around and see what's going on here and who's who in the zoo. David Menzies, Rebel News. I'm just trying to figure out the rules of protesting here at Nathan Phillips Square. We want to direct your media inquiries to Department of Police Headquarters, okay, please?
Okay, so this is I'll slow it down for this one because I feel like something gets said here. That
I have reached out to Connie Osborne in the past, sir. I'm just saying that I'm just trying to understand what the rules are.
Yes,
we were
they
threatened
do.
with trespassing just for covering an illegal occupation here last
drag
summer.
racing,
The anti-lockdown protests are violently shut down by law enforcement, yet a protest like this is allowed to happen. I'm just trying to make sense of the double standard.
That's something you have to take through corporate communications.
Can you give me your personal view, officer?
No, I can't. Professionally, I don't have a political opinion, sir, with the uniforms on.
I do like that comment. Professionally, I do not have a political opinion when the uniform is on. Yet
That's
I
pretty
will.
good. I like that.
But we will stand in a perimeter defending the JDL.
Would you agree that there is a double standard at play here?
Sorry, I can't give you a political opinion. That's just the way it is.
I'm leaving politics out of this. I mean, I could care less what your stance is on the Middle East.
Okay. Well, our purpose here today is to ensure peaceful protest. As you can see, it's been pretty heated. People have been injured. We're trying to keep the situation under control.
Yeah, and nobody wants to see that, but I see people, in all my life in Toronto, I've never seen the arches climbed by people.
Here it comes.
Last year, the Raptors parades are too.
Oh, is that right? Then I...
Yeah, I was literally going to say one earlier, and I was like, Jody's building to that.
I've never seen people up there. Yes, they were up there last year during the Raptors parade.
You fucking moron, Menzies.
Yeah, but in that case, it was because of a sporting event.
I stand corrected, but that's a dangerous situation.
Like, why would he leave his earlier footage
To
in?
get the square cleared out, we'll be dealing with that. Okay?
But, you're kind of making my point. The anti-lockdown protests have been nothing but peaceful, but we've witnessed people arrested for waving a Canadian flag or
this is why
quoting
you
biblical
never open the door to
passages,
David.
officer.
Again, sir, I can't give you my political opinions.
Never open the
I'm
door
on
to
duty.
David.
That can't happen, okay?
You can't or you won't.
I can, unfortunately, no. Okay?
Well, thank you for your time anyways. Thank you. So I believe that was a sergeant. I'm just trying to ask
I'm
basic
pretty sure that
questions,
he
such
gives me
as
strong.
why the double standard when it comes
He's
to
had
protests.
at least age rank vibes.
But they have all been told or ordered, I don't know by whom.
Like,
not
for those
to
who
give
don't know,
these
my
answers.
dad.
I
my
wonder
dad
if these police officers feel
An
as
alcoholic.
heartbroken as I am,
So
as a
I've
born
been
and bred
around a
Torontonian,
drunk old man
to
before.
see this taking
And there's some
place
vibes here.
at Nathan Phillips Square.
Thank you.
So hateful. So look. Did you see the violence? Watch the violence just happen. Watch this. It's so violent.
That was
Oh, you
hilarious.
missed
We
it.
just
Wait,
had a
let's
bunch
do
of
it.
Political opinions. I'm on.
Here we go. Oh, here it is. All right. Oh, he was assaulted. Did you see that? Look at that assault.
So violent.
Oh, hello, famous horse. Welcome. We're watching David Menzies cover a pro-Palestinian rally in Toronto. It's almost done.
Thank you.
That was hilarious. We just had a bunch of people in Arabic headdresses walking by, chanting something presumably in Arabic, and my colleague asked, what are you chanting? And the gentleman said, I don't know. Well, folks, I guess my mission was a failure. I attempted to find out why there is a double standard when it comes to protests.
It's either
After all,
heat
we've been
stroke
told that
or he's had a drink.
Science is dictating all
I
the
got clear vibes
decisions
here.
when it comes to the coronavirus. So could it be that this virus is so super intelligent that it recognizes the merits of social justice protesting, but it hates the people that are part
not
of
once
the
is he going to acknowledge the mask
anti-lockdown
difference
movement?
between each
Wow,
protest.
we might indeed all be doomed if it's that smart. As for the rhetoric you hear and the
mask, the death
statements
threats
on the signage,
I mean, it's ironic
I
that he's
can only
accusing the
think of
Palestinian
the,
protesters of
classic
ushering
line
death threats,
by
yet we
the
haven't heard a single one.
immortal bard
Yet Chris Sky
himself,
was just
told
arrested.
by an idiot, sound and fury, signifying nothing. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.
Yeah, all right.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.